just outside the lobby of the House of Commons with some very exciting news. We just had a vote at the second reading stage of Bill C-281, and the bill passed unanimously at that stage. So we're far from over, but it's past the critical first step. All members of Parliament voting, at least expressing their support in principle for the legislation. Now it goes on to the Foreign Affairs Committee. Some of you may be hearing about this bill for the first time. It's the International Human Rights Act. It's a critically important piece of legislation. And I'm here with my friend Philip Lawrence, who put forward this bill. And so he's the genius behind it. And I'll get him to tell you a bit about the bill. And then we'll talk about the next steps. So Phil, thanks for coming on.
Thanks very much, Garnet. Thank you. So the bill has a number of important provisions, but some of the key principles that come from it are the fact that the bill will help the Canadian government, will help Parliament hold human rights violators accountable. No longer will they be able to act with impunity. Parliament will be able to force the government to report back and as to why or why not they are enforcing the Magnitsky. Another important provision will be reducing the amount of cluster munitions in the world by cracking down on financing of cluster munitions manufacturers.
Awesome. Now, you gave the final speech on this bill in the House, and you've got a 9-year-old son. I've got a 9-year-old daughter. You spoke a bit about bringing your son to an important human rights rally, and you spoke very movingly about kind of how that experience was for your son. Do you want to share with those watching just what your work on human rights means to your kids and how you talk to them about your efforts to fight injustice around the world?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. And I'll try not to tear up here, Garnet.
Yeah, tearing up is not allowed on my Facebook page. It's, we have standards. So.
Thanks, Garnet. Yeah, no, I was at a protest protesting the terrible actions that the government in Tehran is taking against some of the protesters in Iran, and I was able to speak about my bill 281 with people cheering me on. It was fantastic. I got off the stage. My 9-year-old was up there with me, standing in solidarity with the 41 children we've lost in Iran because of the terrible actions of the human rights violators in Tehran. And he said to me, "Dad, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. I want to fight for the good guys."
Thank you. We're getting some heckling from the NDP here, saying that I should become a reporter. But anyways, I will. That's really powerful though, Phil, and I think it speaks to the fact that we've got people of Iranian origin, Ukrainian origin, people from all kinds of different backgrounds here in Canada that are supporting you and invested in the success of this bill. The bill doesn't name any specific countries. It seeks to change the framework for the government of Canada engaging with human rights issues around the world. So let's talk a bit just about the process here. For people who may not know, every piece of legislation has to go through 2 votes in the House and the Senate. So it's voted on at second reading, it's called, which is where we vote on it in principle. And everybody today said they agree in principle. But then it goes to the Foreign Affairs Committee, and sometimes that's where if the government, maybe they feel political pressure to support it in principle, but then they want to actually weaken the bill and kind of cut it apart through amendments. The committee stage is when you see those amendments. Sometimes you see delay tactics, right? The government, they don't want to openly oppose a bill, but they want to delay it. So we've got to get it through the committee stage and then to a vote at third reading and then to the Senate. So what are your hopes as this goes to the Foreign Affairs Committee in terms of strengthening the bill, not weakening the bill, and ultimately getting it through quickly?
Yeah, in the town hall that we hosted together, I think you'll agree with me that the overwhelming message was, if anything, let's strengthen this bill. We don't want to water this bill down. As you said, the government is smart enough to know that the majority of Canadians, probably the vast majority of Canadians, will support this type of human rights legislation. So they certainly don't want to oppose it. But what they are willing to do is water it down, for whatever reasons they have, and we want to prevent that. So we want to get it through fast, and so we need your support. And so if you please email or write your MP, tell them that international human rights is important to you and that you want it through the Foreign Affairs Committee so we can go and act, and so we can make sure that those human rights offenders don't act with impunity.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil. And what we'll actually do for this video is we'll post a comment with a link to the Foreign Affairs Committee website so people can find who those members are, because a small number of members, less than a dozen members of Parliament on that Foreign Affairs Committee, and they have a critical responsibility now for working on this bill. So we want it studied quickly, and amendments that strengthen the bill are fine. There may be good ideas that come forward to make the bill better. We're not saying no amendments, but I think there is some risk that the government will want to try to neuter the bill, to say, yes, in principle, we're in favor of human rights, but we want to cut out all the provisions with teeth. And we need a strong, effective International Human Rights Act with teeth that gets results, and we need it passed quickly before the next election, which could come at any time. So Phil, final words to you on this bill and on the work that's ahead of us on human rights.
Today is a good day for us as parliamentarians, but it's a great day for Canadians in that we are standing up for human rights. And I have to run now because I've got to go to Finance Committee to make life more affordable for you.
Excellent. So many big issues we got to work on. Thanks so much, Phil.
Perfect. Thanks, Grant.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll keep you updated on this bill's progress going forward. Thanks very much.